All right. Good evening to those of you on the East Coast. Good afternoon to those of you on the West Coast. Welcome to This Week in Pop Culture, the show in which we give you the goings on in the past week in the world of pop culture, whether we're talking about local news, film and TV news, sports news, tech news, and the like. We try to bring you up to speed so that way you are not left in the wind. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, also co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And of course, I'm not going to be alone in talking about the said topics for this past said week. So without further ado, I want to welcome my co host, Mr. Spillman Trueheart, AKA Spills. What's going on, sir? Let me see if I can get
What's
your
going on,
audio.
ladies and gentlemen? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's a race day in DC. We're doing the race cars. So if you get a chance to go check it out, I know politically it's crazy, but it's a cool time to see some race cars. Everybody likes race cars. So how's your week going, ladies and gentlemen? Back to you, Brandon.
Indeed, indeed. I hope it's going well for you all. Sorry for the unusual time. I know normally we do this show a little earlier in the day on Sundays, but I am not on the East Coast, as it were. Shout out to Alter Reality Entertainment. They, run the show at Colorado Springs, Comic Con, and I've been helping with the panels that they have there and moderating a few of the panels that they do. So, always fun to be able to, do their shows. So that's where I've been. And because of that, and because of the time difference, we had to reschedule and do the show a little later than we're normally accustomed to doing. So, thank you for your patience in that regard. But Spills, uh, we had a couple of things that happened this week. Um, whether we're talking about, of course, we want to talk about the continued dominance of Brand New Day in terms of what it's been doing at the box office. Stick around towards the end of the show as we will talk about a lot of that and the implications of that. What that might look like maybe in the ongoing slate of films and how that may affect things. But before we do that, we did have, unfortunately, some passings that happened over the past week. In one case, it's just to be able to give you guys a heads up of that said artist passing. But in another instance, it was some news that came at the beginning of this week, but there have been updates in regards to that said person's passing. So, without further ado, Spill, shall we dive in?
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in. All right. So, as always, guys, if you are watching the show live, appreciate you, joining us live. But if you're joining us after the fact, after this show has aired live, just know that efforts will be made in order to timestamp the stories accordingly. So, just be aware of that those said efforts will be made. But with that, we're going to start this week's show with our Legacies Remembered segment. And we're going to start first with the passing that happened officially, according to news, happened last Sunday, and that is, of course, with, unless you've been living under a rock, actress Hayden Panettiere. Let me see if I can bring that up now. Passed away at the age of 36, and it's crazy too because it also happened just days prior to her 37th birthday. In the days since the news of her passing, there have been some speculations regarding the cause of death. Um, as there have been some speculation, as I said, of what it might have been, but there have has been an update in that regard, and apparently, um, the update is that there was a friend found who found, or I should say, the initial news that had been going around is that a friend had found the actress unresponsive and in cardiac arrest inside an apartment in Greenville, South Carolina. However, via a report from TMZ on Friday, this past Friday, new details emerged regarding the events leading up to her death. Per the story, it occurred as follows. And let me see if I can bring up the story now. You should see it up on your screen now. Let me see if I can get this up. Move our friend there and bring up our said story. But yes, so apparently the new information or the update that has come is that according to TMZ, Hayden's boyfriend had provided her with gave her Narcan before her death. So and get into some further details. Um, see if I can get there. So, and this is information that was shared by the brother of Hayden's boyfriend. Oh, give me 1 second. Sorry about that. But yes, here we are. So, and this is per the brother. There were a lot of assumptions, speculations, and accusations currently swirling. He said in his statement, which TMZ, as I said again, published on Friday, the truth will come out as authorities complete and release additional details from the investigation. And that is important because the people who love and adore Hayden deserve the truth. Now, what he did mention as details, let me see if I can get there. Um, per the story, Zach, and again, this is the brother. Gosh, sorry about that, guys. Here we go. Zach said on Sunday morning he attended a church service, and again, this is the brother of Hayden's boyfriend. Um, that he had attended church service and let them know that being Hayden and his brother, who was the boyfriend of Hayden, that he was on his way, and exchanged messages with them. They planned to get lunch and play indoor golf together after the service because he was again coming, leaving church. But when he left church, he called and texted both Panettiere and his brother. He said he assumed they had fallen back asleep, so he drove to the Airbnb. So now the detail is that it was in fact the Airbnb where Panettiere and her boyfriend were staying. But he drove to the Airbnb where the two were staying in Greenville, where the brother's grandmother also lives. He said he did not had the door code and was unable to enter. He had a there was a loud knock at the door that he made, which woke his brother. And both he was saying both Brian, his brother, and Panettiere had been asleep on a fold-out couch in the townhouse's living room. However, when once he was able to get inside the residence, um, they had tried to wake Hayden up for lunch and realized that she was unconscious. He immediately, the brother of Panettiere's boyfriend, called 911, and Brian, the boyfriend, gave her Narcan. Um, when they jointly performed CPR, uh, 911 was on the speaker until fire and EMS arrived. At that point, they watched as they tried every measure possible to save her life. So, Spills, you hear this news. There, as I said, there has been, update provided in terms of the minute by minute details, and that's essentially a summary shared via the Hollywood Reporter of what were those final moments of Hayden Panettiere. As I said, passed away at a young age. A lot of times we have folks and we're talking about their legacies, right, in their 70s, in their 80s, in their 90s, but didn't even make, wasn't even making the age of 40, passing away in her 30s, and even more tragic, just days prior to her 37th birthday. So, before we hop into the other passing this week, what are your thoughts on the news of her passing and some of these updates that we've been receiving?
Well, you know, I'm a big time fan of Hayden's work. Um, from um, her work in like Remember the Titans.
Of
She was the
course.
spunky football girl. Her work in um, my favorite show, and one of the shows that really made me aware of the importance of the staff of a TV show. It's not just that, like, you watch the TV shows and it completely escapes your mind that there's staffs of people that work really hard and are longtime professionals in this gig. To me, the writer strike, I think it was 2008. I think it was a
Okay.
2008 writer strike, destroyed the show Heroes. And I was very interested in where the show was going. And when I saw where the writing had taken a left turn, I was just completely like, it shaped the show to this day, which is kind of ironic. Save the cheerleader, save the world. Save the cheerleader, save this whole podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Um, but also, if you're struggling with addiction, get help. There's so much in the world that goes around, and I understand people have problems, people have struggles, but you got to live for the people, live for yourself and the people around you, your loved ones. And I'm sure that someone like Hayden, who's lived a life where her loved ones probably aren't loved ones anymore. I can imagine, having a momager. She had a momager. Her mom was her manager. Going through that kind of a life where you go from a child to your number one um, breadwinner for your home. That's got to be hard. So shout outs to her family. All that sadness. But I'm just really floored. Kind of crazy because she seems, we're not old, but we're not young either. But she still seems so young and so youthful. For her to go so suddenly is just horrible.
Indeed, indeed, and I mean, again, condolences to family and friends. I know over in recent times, she had been like very forthcoming about the struggles that she had, psychological, mental related struggles that she had, and even matters regarding custody and seeking help for herself and ensuring her own health before uh, um, having custody, of her child. So, um, I mean, it kind of goes back to, and it's been brought up by a couple of other actors, actresses that have had a similar experience when we're talking about child stars, right? And how and they've gone on record. It's folks like Anna Paquin and Rose McGowan have commented, they themselves being younger actresses starting in the industry, and how they have commented on the fact that eh, from their perspective they didn't receive the protection that they felt that they should have had, which is terrible, is awful. So you would imagine that it was a similar situation with Hayden. And I mean, she's gone on record too of experiences that she's had where uh, that have been really crazy experiences that no one at the age that she was when she was experiencing it should have been inflicted with those said situations or those said matters. So, um, as I said, an unfortunate situation. It's crazy, in this day and age that you have folks that are passing away in their 30s. 30s is still, when we're talking about folks passing away, it's still a young age to be passing away. Considering the day and age that we're in, where people are living twice that age. Some cases, as I mentioned, just moments ago, three times that age. I mean, we've had moments where we've talked about
Hmm.
other artists on this segment of our show of Legacies Remembered, where they were in their 80s, they were in their 90s, in rare instances, they were actually even in the hundreds
Mel
too.
Brooks is the 100. Shout out to my main man.
But yeah, what are your thoughts, those of you out there, when it comes to Hayden Panettiere? Uh, do you share that same perspective of what other fellow actresses and actors have shared in their tributes to the actress, and commenting on a change needing to be made in the industry when it comes to uh, uh, actors and actresses, younger actors and actresses. Um, I wholeheartedly agree, but I still like to get your thoughts out there, and where you guys stand where when it comes to her passing, and what hopefully what can be learned about it, so that way we don't have instances of it happening again with others. But as I said, unfortunate as new details come in, we'll try to make an effort in the coming weeks if new details come in of new news or new information that's shared. But I want to switch over to another passing that we had this past said week, and that is with Michael Wright. And in talking about Michael Wright, Um, it was this was in a again a hat tip to TMZ. I know I was talking about TMZ when it came to Hayden just moments ago, but TMZ just yesterday it was revealed that Michael Wright, known to many as the lead vocalist Eddie King Jr. in Robert Townsend's The Five Heartbeats, and as Wesley Snipes' brother in Sugar Hill, had passed. More specifically, he passed Wednesday in Los Angeles of heart failure. So the news came in yesterday, but in terms of the specific day in which the passing occurred, it was Wednesday in Los Angeles of heart failure and complications from, and I apologize if I'm butchering this name, but I'm going to do my best. Markif Binyami disease, which is a rare degenerative neurological disorder. So, Spills, your thoughts on the death of Michael Wright? I don't know,
Sorry about
Spills.
that.
I
I
don't
was
know if
on
you're still
mute.
with us.
Sorry, I
Go
was
ahead.
on mute. I was on mute.
Yeah, no problem. Go
Um,
ahead.
yeah, I think one of the greats of black cinema from the '90s, Michael Wright. Obviously he was great in the Five Heartbeats. That's what we all remember him from. He was great in that movie. Um, I just sad to see that he has passed on. Obviously, I think that him being in the Five Heartbeats, he was like the lead in that. So really, call your auntie this weekend. I think call your auntie and then your younger auntie, like that auntie that's like your mama's sister, but she's that real younger sister because she's upset about Hayden. And then your big auntie is upset about Michael Wright passing away. So I feel like this was a real hard weekend for your aunties. Call them, check on them. This was just so sudden and unexpected. Do you have any interactions in your time on the Comic Con scene with Mr. Wright, Brandon?
I have not, but I am a fan of those films, of the Five Heartbeats, and even of Sugar Hill. Man, like Sugar Hill takes me back, and talking about that film within just mentioned earlier Wesley Snipes' filmography. So yeah, it's unfortunate to see that he has passed away. Um, but thankfully, it is in an instance of what we were just mentioning before, where it's happening, far earlier in the lifetime that someone has, and that they were able to, in that time, he was able to leave his mark in terms of his filmography and what he's done. So unfortunate, to have him pass. Uh, and condolences to family and friends of his passing. As I said, passed away from a very rare degenerative neurological disease, along with heart failure. So you know it's it's a part of life that folks pass away, but in terms of the manner in which he passed with those said conditions, it's really unfortunate. So, um, but with that, I'd love to know for you out there, for Hayden as well as for Michael here. I know for Hayden, for me, I know Spills, you had mentioned Remember the Titans. I know that that is a film that I've seen numerous times. So uh, it was uh, um, and the thing that's crazy about it is that I remembered her character from that film, but I didn't put two and two together until I started watching Heroes, and it was
Yeah.
mentioned, hey, that that was the daughter from so and so. I was like, oh wait a second, yeah,
It
that is the
sure
same.
was her.
It is the same actress. So, I mean, because she stole every scene that she was in. Even even at that age when she was in Remember the Titans, she managed to steal many of the scenes that she was in terms of the presence that she had, and in terms of her ability to kind of stand toe to toe with many of her co-stars who are these huge name stars. I mean, to be able to spar with Denzel Washington, that is not a an easy feat. But she was able to hold her own, even at that age, in the performance that she had in that film. And then, of course, I would be remiss to talk about Heroes. Heroes was a show that I watched religiously, and it was a nice, interesting a deconstruction of kind of, I guess, the superhero genre, and what they managed to do with it. I'm not a for similar to a lot of people out there. I'm not a big fan of what they did with season two, I should say. I feel like part of season two was okay, but I feel like it kind of went off the rails. But season one was awesome. So I always, at least in my head, I just kind of hold on to the idea of, I hate to say, of Heroes being a mini series, because I enjoyed that
It
first
should
season
have
so
been.
much, and
I
and,
think it should
and
have
I
been.
tried not to like really count the second season as a whole, because I feel like it didn't hold up to that freshman season, that first season that they had. So, but let us know in the comments, for Hayden Panettiere, what was a project of hers in her filmography that you will most remember her for, and that you enjoy. And then, of course, what am I saying? Even more in modern times, of her being a part of the Scream franchise too, of seeing her pop up in the last couple installments. So that it was fun to catch up with her, and have her now as an adult. Not to say that she wasn't, that she obviously was older in Heroes, but she was an adult when we have her as her character in the Scream franchise. It was great to see her pop up there, and what she was able to bring, to that character of the strong female, a character that she portrayed within that franchise. It was fun to, see her back. So especially in like genre related stuff, because I felt like there was a little bit of a hiatus there in that regard. Of course, she popped up in other stuff like Nashville, but I don't know about you, Spills. I didn't really not watch Nashville. That wasn't really my cup of tea.
Oh
So
no, I
um,
don't watch White Power. I do not watch White
hey
Power.
yo, hey yo, go ahead. But no, go ahead. But no, I wasn't. Yeah, no, I didn't watch Nashville. I'm not a big like country music
You don't like
person.
White
And
Power?
don't get me wrong. Like when it comes to music, I have a very diverse taste when it comes to music. But that is the one where it's like I would say, let me correct that. There's maybe a handful of songs, maybe a country that I can
I
enjoy,
was
but
gonna say
the
you went to
genre as a
Damatha, man. You know
whole,
them. You
I'm
know
not a
them
big fan of.
songs. You know them
Was that?
songs. Wonder Wheel. You listen to Wonder Wheel. I know you like some of them songs. I got
Like I
friends in
said, there's
low
a handful. I could
places.
probably count them offhand of what they are, but in terms of a genre overall,
Oh,
yeah,
speaking of, I hate to go on a tangent before we go on to this next topic, but did you
sure.
hear on the internet that they said that Garth Brooks is a serial killer and he like went on a hiatus? because he.
That conspiracy has been out there, man. Yeah, because yeah, the alter ego. I don't know what
Yeah.
to make of it. I do remember, that story, going around, but I don't know, man. It was weird enough with the alter ego that was created, where I didn't feel like it was necessary to do. It was kind of extra, like it wasn't really necessary to do, but if I guess when you get to a certain point, you get it into your head that maybe
Do they
I'm at
like
a point
me
where
or do they like
I
this
can have a
character?
separate character here and do it,
Yeah.
yeah, no, dude, like, yeah,
I'm
no.
Spider Man and
um
I'm Peter Parker, ladies and gentlemen.
right. Emo Peter Parker. So, but as I said, let us know when we're talking about those said individuals, what your favorite project from their filmography that you enjoyed. But we're gonna move on to our main topic. You see here in the background. Let me uh, move on. And again, condolences to Michael Wright. But we're going to talk some film and TV news in our film and TV talk. And as you can see here, we have two films, not only Assidious, but also Spider Man, both Sony films. But the story here is, of course, Spider Man, as in a story from the Hollywood Reporter, it had been projected that a brand new day, or say it has been projected that Brand New Day will make 36.5 million this weekend, surpassing the 23.7 million made by Insidious Out of the Further, allowing a Spider-Man Brand New Day in its fourth week to top the box office. So, Spills. I want to say I mean, I've seen the film a couple of times at this point, but I believe you've already seen it at this point now too. Now 4 weeks in.
No, I
Yes.
have not seen Spider Man yet, ladies and
Bro,
gentlemen. I be
what?
waiting. I be
Well, yeah,
waiting.
he needs to fix that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's
Ladies
going
and
on, but
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. I've been busy,
I,
ladies and
I,
gentlemen.
I
It's a
don't know
busy
what to do with
summer.
spills right now.
I've been doing super dad duty. And my
Okay,
son can't really
fair enough,
see it.
man. Yeah,
So,
fair enough.
and when Teresa and I go to movies, we go to a little bit more mature movies, because she don't want to. She sometimes want to see
But
superhero
hey,
movies.
that's a family outing, though. Spider-Man Brand New
Yeah.
Day is a family outing.
Boy, he's 6. I don't want him to. You see, this is the inside baseball that you need to learn, Brandon. Inside baseball. You could
Too
take your
violent,
kid to
too
see
violent.
Spider Man. You could take him to see Spider Man, but will Spider Man wreck his brain and he be karate chopping people in school? He might web
Oh
up the
yeah,
teacher.
okay,
You don't want
fair
him to
enough,
do that. You
fair
can't. You
enough,
can't push
fair
it too
enough.
far, because then he'll be doing stuff and you like, why is he doing this? And you like, oh, we're giving him stuff on this television to watch, which we may have watched stuff that we weren't supposed to as much when we were children, but it's a different age, a different age. Um, I told him, when you get to about 9 or 10, we can start watching some of these Marvel movies that you're missing. He's seen the first one. He's seen Homecoming. Homecoming is a little bit less mature than this movie, so I am interested in the Spider-Man because, as you all know, he's the number one superhero to me. Um, I like that they have finally, after 9 movies. Is this 9 movies?
So we've had the three initial Spider-Man
Three
movies,
MCU, three
and then this is number
originals.
4, and it's not including the crossover films, the two Avengers films. So that would make, let's see, we're on 6 because we have Infinity
That's
War
9.
and
No,
Endgame.
you forgot the
Oh
two.
no,
You
no, Civil
forgot the
War
two.
7.
Okay, 7. But no, I'm just talking about standalone Spider-Man movies.
Oh,
This is the
standalone.
nice
Yeah, it's only been
standalone.
4.
This is the
At
nice
least,
standalone. No,
at least with Tom Holland, it's only been 4.
of all of the Spider-Man, this is the ninth one, ladies and gentlemen. And it's the first time Spider-Man has really gotten to the point where I'm having trouble paying these bills. And that's what Spider-Man is really about. Because it's not just having great power and it comes with great responsibility. Part of that responsibility is the bills ain't going to be what they're supposed to be because you're supposed to be doing the right thing with the powers. And by doing the right thing with the powers, you're not charging people for the powers because you're helping people who do not have those powers. And that's what Uncle Ben taught him, ladies and gentlemen. So it's great to see that they have gotten this franchise to a point where, I get that in the Spider-Verse, I mean in the MCU, they mixed the Civil War and Spider-Man revealing himself into this brand new day type story, which is great. But it's great that Spider-Man has a secret identity. He wears a mask for a reason. Otherwise, he'll take that mask off all the time. But I'm just very interested in this, and they printing money over there. Like people was complaining about the Marvel movies, they printing the money. Let me
Yeah,
hold a
no, I
dollar.
hear you.
They
I hear
made so
you.
much money, ladies and gentlemen. They bought the Lakers.
Well, here's the thing. And as I said, if I'm doing the math correctly, like I said, we had the three Spider-Man movies. Well, I should say we had Civil War, we had the three Spider-Man movies, that makes four. We had the two Avengers, six, and then we have this one, so seven. Um, but when we're thinking of what they've done, I do agree. It has been an interesting journey, in that with the initial trilogy, it kind of uh, um, went off the reservation, if you will, in terms of what we're accustomed to seeing with Spider-Man, where he's very miserable. He doesn't have a lot of resources. He kind of has to rough it, if you will, in terms of not just with his costume, but with his daily life of not really
Hmm.
having a lot of support. So now that we've had that initial trilogy, it kind of allowed us to reset things to be at a point that we're more accustomed to seeing in a traditional Spider-Man story. Um, having his identity, his secret identity being one, not having support. So whether it's Aunt May, whether it's Uncle Ben, not having that person to rely on, that he can have as a support system, and having that taken away from him, having the tragedy of a loved one taken away from him. As I said, this go around, it wasn't with Uncle Ben, and don't get me wrong, Uncle Ben is great, but we've done Uncle Ben a whole bunch of times. We've done him enough. So, they were able to kind of still embrace the spirit of that plot point of having him lose, a close loved one, except that this go around, it happened in the form of Aunt May. Spoiler alert, I don't feel like it. I mean, the film has been out for a couple of years at this point. So if you're not aware of that, I feel like you should know that by now. But be that as it may, uh with Spider-Man, the fact, as I said, the fact that they've been able to reset things has been really good. And now because he doesn't have that support system, he has a very tricky life now, where he has a crappy apartment, which we come to expect with Spider-Man. He's really struggling to make ends meet, which is again a thing that we've come to you know anticipate or expect from Spider-Man. A lot of people enjoy Spider-Man, unfortunately, and it just is what it is when Spider-Man is miserable, when things are not going right in his life. Those are the stories that people enjoy the most. So they've gotten it to that point, and I'm definitely fascinated to see where they take it. I did enjoy Brand New Day, and I've gone on record about this. I don't think it's the
Hmm.
greatest movie in the world. I know a lot of people have sang its praises, and don't get me wrong, it's a really good film. But I still took issue with some components of it in terms of how characters were interwoven into the story, and kind of thinking of okay, if this character is going to be a part of the story, I feel like there needed to be an explanation that was more seamless and that made sense, instead of something that felt kind of shoehorned in, which is you know I'll be honest. I'll be transparent with you. That's the way I felt about Punisher. I was okay with what they did with, again, spoiler alert, but it's been out for four
All
weeks
right.
now. What they did with a certain X-Men character.
Yeah, we're
Um,
just gonna, we've
yeah,
seen
I'll
it.
just say
We've seen it
I'll
posted.
say I
It's
know you haven't.
posted. It's been
I'll say
posted. I
I'm
I
I'm
have
cool what they
eyes.
did with a certain X-Men character, but what they did with Punisher and how they introduced him into the story, I felt was kind of shoehorned, and it didn't really feel seamless. You may feel differently, Spills, in seeing it, but yeah, I mean that's basically where I stand with it. Maybe you guys feel differently. I'm
Well,
also curious, for those of you out there, how many times you've seen it too, because obviously, with it being number one for the fourth week in a row, we can definitely probably attest that a lot of those things. have happened as a result of repeat viewings. But I'm sorry, Spills, what were you going to say?
I was going to say they put Punisher in this movie so that Tom Holland and the Punisher actor didn't have to like
John
change
Bernthal,
anything.
yeah.
They could just go and be with each other because they've been in two movies with each other. So they just said, we'll learn these lines and then we'll work on the lines that we have for the next movie together. So it's like when you have a friend that's in two of your classes in college. You're
Yeah.
like, all right, well, let's just study hall together. We'll figure this out. You can be my
And to
lab
be
partner.
fair, I was gonna say some more trivia. To be fair, they have had a unique influence in each other in each of the other actor helping the other secure or book their role. I don't know for those of you that are not aware out there, but they taped each other when they were up for their respective Marvel roles. They had helped to tape each other's auditions to do to when they were in the running for Peter Parker and Frank Castle, respectively. So they are,
And
very
Punisher
much
was
connected in terms of
shoehorned
their history
into
when it comes to Marvel.
Punisher was shoehorned into the Spider-Man comic book anyway. He was like a shoehorn character too. So I feel like they was just like, we just got to put him in this movie to introduce
Well,
him
let me know.
on
As
this
I
level.
said, I know you're still in the process of seeing it. For those of you out there, you can let me know the way that they kind of explained how they already had an existing relationship didn't work with me. I felt like they needed to approach that relationship. Everything that happened after I was fine with, but in terms of just establishing that history that those two characters have, I felt it wasn't earned. It felt like something where they just kind of explained it away with a throwaway line, and it didn't really uh, uh, have the impact that I feel like they would have expected that it would have. If anything, I know that there are a lot of components that are happening. You have Mark Ruffalo. I didn't even talk about that. You have the Hulk in there. You have this mystery character in there, which is not really a mystery at this point. It's already been kind of revealed, but I'll say mystery character. You also have Punisher, and you have all of these elements, right? But I mean, if you're going to bring Punisher in, I felt like he should have been introduced as someone that Peter was meeting on this particular story or in this adventure, and that's not what we get. We get or provided the implication that something has happened off screen and that they've had interactions off screen and already have an established relationship, and so it doesn't really it feels kind of weird that's already happened off screen. I would have much preferred for them to actually demonstrate that situation, even if it meant and I may get some folks out there who may not agree with me with this, because I know that we've had the recent instance of Marvel, just throwing out a whole bunch of content, and now we're starting to get back to a point of quality versus quantity of them kind of doing quality control of a lot of the stuff that they are releasing. But I mean, do a one shot, like do something in which we, get some insight into that interaction and that introduction that they have to one another. But just to have it off screen, it just felt weird, and it didn't really work going forward. That they, already have this established relationship when it doesn't seem like they would. So, just me. Um, But that is going to do it for us here at This Week in Pop Culture. We have a somewhat a shorter show, but Spills, I'm going to punt it over to you. Can you tell folks where they can find you, sir?
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You can find me at Truly Spill on Instagram.com. We can talk about heroes or Remember the Titans or any of the other works of the actors we talked about today, or Spider-Man, Brand New Day. I will try to see it this week. So if you guys want to talk about it, we can talk about it. But there you
All right.
go. Back to you, Brandon.
Cool, cool. Yeah, you can find me at Brandon Choi ENT on X and then Brandon Choi underscore ENT on Instagram. As I said, I'm at Colorado Springs right now. There were a couple of things that will be posted soon of some of the goings on that happened while I was here this weekend. As I said, it was a lot of fun. And then we have a couple of other things that are on the way. So Baltimore Comic Con is on the way in a couple of weeks. That'll be happening at the end of September. And we have Rhode Island, towards the tail end of this year that'll be happening in November. So have some cool things, have some fun things that are on the way, and then we may have a couple of other things in between there for you guys to enjoy as well. So I'll try to keep you guys a wind of that, and the best way that you can do that is by following our social media, so that way you can be kept up to speed with some of the promos and the things that will be on the way. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there, and
Peace, peace,
see you
peace.
guys soon.